A warm welcome to all the viewers. In today's session of Tourism and Hospitality Research, we will be talking about how to determine the sample size for your service study using a specialized software known as G-Power. G-Power was designed as a general standalone power analysis program for statistical tests commonly used in social and behavioral research. It was invented by Erdfelder, Fall, and Buckner in 1996. This program helps the researcher in several ways. But what is power analysis? Power analysis is a statistical method used to determine the appropriate sample size for a study. It helps the researchers ensure their study has enough probability of detecting a real effect if one exists. Thus, it minimizes the risk of type 2 error, which is false negative, which means failing to reject the null hypothesis when it is incorrect. So, in case you want to go back and see what is type 1 and type 2 error, you may go back to the playlist and check that video. There are three major uses of power analysis, which is done using G-Power. A priori means you are estimating the minimum sample size required for your study before actually going out with your survey form to collect the data. Post hoc analysis means assessing the power of statistical test which you are using to analyze your data at a given sample size, the sample size which is already being collected by you, effect size and significance level. Compromise power analysis means alpha and beta values for given sample size, effect size and beta alpha ratio. So here you are trying to determine the alpha and beta values if you have the sample size, effect size and beta alpha ratio with you. So a priori is conducted before data collection to determine the necessary sample size to achieve a desired level of power. Post hoc is conducted after data collection to assess the power of the study to detect the observed effect. And compromise analysis is used when there are constraints on sample size or effect size, or when the researcher wants to balance the risk of type 1 and type 2 errors. It involves adjusting the alpha level or the significance level or effect size to achieve a desired level of power at mentioned constraints. So before going to the practical in G power, let us understand the a priori power analysis for structural equation modeling through these three simple models. A simple model, which could be a linear or multiple linear regression, a mediated model, and a moderation model. So what is the rule? The rule is when you have to enter the number of predictors in G power, I am going to show you right now after this slide how to use G power for determining the sample size for all of these three types of models which are most frequently used. So in this case, we determine the number of arrows pointing towards a construct. The maximum number of arrows pointing towards a construct, we count those number of arrows, they become our predictors. You have two independent variables, IV1 and IV2, and you have one dependent variable. So in this case, you see that these are the constructs of the study. They might be having their own indicators as well. But we have to check out how many of the pointers are going towards a single construct. So there is 1 and 2. That means there are two predictors in this simple model. When you go to a mediated model, you see the maximum number of arrows pointing towards a single construct, that is 1, 2 and 3. So although there are two independent variables, one IV1 and IV2, but there is a mediation variable. So that is why we say 1, 2 and 3 predictors are there. What is mediation? The effect of independent variable passes through the mediation variable to the dependent variable. Mediation could be a complete mediation, a partial mediation, or there could be no mediation. We will be talk about these three categories of mediation when we actually perform the SEM analysis in AMOS. The third model which you see over here has two independent variables, IV1 and IV2, and one dependent variable, but there is a moderator variable. So in this case, how many arrows are pointing towards a single construct? You might see it at the first glance and say 2, but it is not, because when we have a moderation variable, we count the interaction effect as well. What is interaction effect? So one effect is passing from IV1 to DV, second effect is passing from IV2 to DV, third effect is from the moderator itself on DV, fourth is moderator into IV1, and the fifth one is moderator into IV2. So now we have 5 predictors in this model. I hope you understand. Now let us go to G power and try to find out how to use it for determining the minimum sample size required for your study. So this is the G power 3.1.9.7 version. In the test family, you go to F tests and then you go to linear multiple regression fixed model R square deviation from 0. You select this in the statistical test and then you check the type of power analysis a priori, which is done to compute the required sample size given the alpha, power and effect size. Now, what is effect size? How much effect size should we keep? So you see here, a small effect size is 0.02, a small effect size is 0.02, a medium is 0.15, large is 0.35. So generally we keep it to be medium in social science research, in survey based research, or you can refer to previous literature to find out what was the effect size on a similar study which was used by researchers prior to you. Then is the alpha error probability. You can keep it to be 0.05. This is the significance level, 0.05. And then is the power, which is 1 minus beta error probability, which is 0.95. So PAR, it is recommended in tourism and hospitality research. We usually keep PAR of 80% or 0.80. Now we have to enter the number of predictors. So for the first model, you see there are 2 predictors. So let it be 2 and I calculate. So it says that I require a minimum sample size of 68 for this simple model, wherein I have 2 independent variables and 1 dependent variable. Let us check out the minimum sample size required for this second model, which is the mediation model. Here we have 1, 2 and 3. We have 3 predictors. So let us change it to 3. Now you have 77. And for this last one, moderation model, we have 5. So we'll put here 5 and get 92. So that means that as you increase the predictors, the sample size is going to increase. So it is quite an easy and convenient method to be used for determining the sample size prior to your study, and this sample size is the minimum sample size which you need to collect to get the desired power in your analysis, a desired confidence when you are producing your results. These are some of the very useful resources. One is by Memon et al. 2020, sample size for survey research. Second is Mayer et al. 2007, a short tutorial of GPAR. Third is Erdfelder et al. 1996, GPAR, a general power analysis program. I hope this video was quite useful and knowledge gaining for you. Do keep watching and recommend it to your friends and faculty colleagues. See you next time with some great content. Thanks, keep learning and keep watching for more.